Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Well, welcome to our podcast of Healing Generations. And this podcast is sponsored by the National Comadres Network. And we're so pleased that you're joining us today. My name is Debra Louise Camarillo, and I am the proud daughter of Esteban Leos Camarillo. And I am so happy to be recording in person with my comadre, Maestra Susanna Armijo, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation today. And it's our first recording of 2024. Comadre, we are in 2024.
Que milagro.
I mean, any thoughts just about that right now?
I'm just giving Creator and ancestors so much love and gratitude and appreciation, literally, for another precious day of life, literally, and breath, literally. As you know, I'm coming out of this triple heart bypass surgery.
Yeah, and actually, let me just say before you go there, because the last time when we did our podcast, you were in preparation. It was a couple days more, and you were going to be going through your surgery. And so it was me and Maestro that were actually remembering you in your preparation to go. And so there was a lot of prayers. And I just want to say that because our audience, our listeners, were aware of that as well and sent you prayers. And there was so much concern and love and energy towards you to accompany you through that process. And so this is our official coming back, and having you here. And I just wanted to say that before you start and we have this plática. Oh. But yes, your literal breath and life. Yeah.
Absolutely, comadre. And I just say that with every cell in my body. I just want to really extend, much gratitude, love, and appreciation for all those that offered their prayers, sent those prayers up, their danzas, their canciones, all those songs, and everything, all those good intentions, all that love that just really gave me the strength to endure and, guide those doctors' hands and just for all the support that I was so blessed to have. Not everybody has that. I've seen other patients in there at the same time that did not have the blessing of having that support around them. And so I don't take it lightly and just so filled with so much gratitude, so much love and appreciation.
Yes. And so if you're joining us today, you're going to be part of a conversation. And we really, in this episode, are going to have a heart-to-heart dialogue, a conversation of this experience that Maestra went through. And this is an intentional conversation. And the reason why I say that is because life happens. And you might be a listener wherever you are at on this planet. And maybe you're experiencing something that's similar. And it doesn't have to be a health issue. Maybe it's an emotional issue. Maybe it's, whatever challenge has come in your way that sometimes feels like, oh my God, it's just impossible. I'm going to do this. Well, we're going to have that conversation. And my hope is by the end of this conversation, you will feel a little bit hopeful and that we strengthen your faith in knowing that you can go on and you're not alone. And so with that, I just want to open this conversation. And comadre, let's kind of start at the beginning. How in the heck did you get in this situation?
Comadre, I feel like I'm still composting. Like I don't feel like I went through the tunnel to the other side. I feel like I'm still getting there. And that's been a big lesson right there. It is, I'm so used to being the fixer and the caretaker and helping everyone find the solutions and being that supportive person. And it's never my plan that I'm the patient. I'm not.
Right?
Yeah. I'm the one that's supposed to be the helper. It's like, wait a minute. I can't help anybody in this situation. But I think, and it's coming to my mind right now because every year I always pick 2 words for the year instead of a resolution. Just 2 words that I really want to enhance and focus on for the year. And if you want to say how did this get started, I think it was that prayer for those 2 words. Last year, the first one was surrender.
Yes.
Surrender. Wanting to learn more about knowing what's my part and how much to do and then when to back off, and put it in creator's hands and just wait for that guidance, not trying to fix everything right away, giving creator and ancestors that time to work behind the scenes to make things happen. And just being in that total surrender of trying to use that word to keep me more present of what's happening right now, not being so much in the future of what could happen or what's going to happen or in the past of all the cargas of what has happened, but just being present and just saying, okay, creator, what can I learn from this and what's next? My second word was joy. I wanted to experience more joy and not joy attached to someone else, like that I have to be around others to be in joy or I have to be receiving something or getting something or doing something. Just waking up in joy, that joy of that creator in my heart and joy for, like I said in the beginning, to be alive, another precious day of life. So I think creator heard that loud and clear. It's like, okay, you want surrender? Here we go. And this whole experience has been that. But it was all in preparation. As many people know, I've been struggling with the back issue for many, many years, and it's escalated to a hip issue, bone-on-bone hip issue. And so I was just like, I got to get to the next step here. I can't put it off anymore like we do. We're like, oh, no, let's, tomorrow.
There you go. Tomorrow, mañana.
Yeah, next year or whenever. Finally, the body was screaming so loud, like, no, you're going to deal with me and you're going to deal with me right now. Like, we're going to deal with this. And so I was just in preparation for a hip replacement and they run all the tests before. Let's make sure everything's in order so that you can withstand this hip surgery and we'll take it from there. So I was like the light at the end of the tunnel. Yay. I'm going to finally be pain-free. And it's at that time when they discovered in an angiogram that I had the 3 blocked arteries.
And you had to do it in your way, right? You couldn't just do 1 blocked artery.
No. No, todo or nada, Todo or nada. But, too, with the shock, I was just thinking, okay, well, if they do find anything, they'll put some stents in there and we'll be back in the car and we'll be in New York next week and keep on going, do our training and keep going. But it wasn't that. It was just like, no, you're not going anywhere. This is what's happening with you. And of course, all those questions come like, what, creator, come on. Like, I'm doing your work. I'm being of service. I'm, why are you going to do this to me? I'm in so much pain already. Why would you make me go through that? But, even the lesson there is nobody's exempt. Things happen. Life happens. Yes. It's not to do with, if you're good or you're bad. It's just where you're at in your journey. And it taught me, this whole experience has taught me, like, we never know when that time's going to come. Because it was from one day to the next. And that's why it's so important. And we talk about it all the time. And when we do our training and work with our mujeres and our retiros, why it's so important for us to have a strong circle of support, to know who are those people that you go to when you're in these crises that you can depend on, that are going to be there and show up for you. That strong sisterhood of mujeres. Sometimes mujeres need mujeres. We need each other. Not to say that I didn't have the best nurse on the planet, Maestro Jerry, right there walking alongside of me every step of the way, and just could not have done it without him at all. But I just felt so embraced and so loved, received so many beautiful messages, prayers and quotes and poems and songs. And I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. This is what we've been teaching, and this is the goal that we've been wanting to achieve. We want all of us to have that, to be able to do that.
I want to step back a little, because you pose a really good question that I think all of us have thought about one time or several times in our life, right? And that's that old question about, why is it that bad things happen to good people, or good things happen to bad people? And I know that it's easy to get stuck there, right? And I appreciate the part where you bring out that this is part of life and no one's exempt. Can you share a little bit about that? And then I'm also going to take you a little bit further back. But can you share a little bit about that? Come on there.
The way it came to me in this particular situation, there's been a lot of situations and lessons throughout my life, but in this particular situation, I've been struggling with this back and this hip for so long, and I've been so almost angry at my body, like, come on, like, why do you, as I've always been one to be physical and working out and moving and doing things. So I was like, why are you, my physical body has never failed me. I've been very challenged, emotionally, my heart broken in a million pieces. I've been challenged mentally, where I almost lost my mind. I've been challenged spiritually, and I had never been challenged in the physical realm. My body, I've always been able to dance through everything. And now my back was not having it. It was like, no, party over. So I was kind of upset, for a long time, because I didn't have my tools and my access to danza and my prayer and the way that I've been used to gathering my medicine and my connection to Creator and the universe, the cosmos, everyone. It wasn't being able to access it. So for a long time, I've been kind of upset about that on one level. But in a nutshell, long story short, had my hip not been crying out to the level that it was, right before the end of the year, I would have never known that this was going on with my heart. So it was my hip that saved my heart. So we don't know the reasons why things are happening. We might think, like, oh, that's the most traumatic, awful thing, But if I think about it today, it's like, no, I thank my hip. Thank you. Because I probably would have pushed myself more. I probably would have been trying to do danza or doing something that would provoke a heart attack. So it was holding me back. My back was holding me back, both of them dancing together. They're like, no, you need to slow down. You need to slow down, because you're almost all 100% blocked in every artery. So it's not good to judge it, why things are happening, because it could be a life-saving thing.
And I think that's one of maybe the temptations, right? That we have all the time. We want to judge something. We want to draw these conclusions. And we really don't have all of the answers, or we don't have all the circumstances, like the whole movie there. We're just looking at one frame and then basing our judgment or feelings or our thoughts on the one frame, not understanding how the movie's going to end.
Yes.
And what part that is going to play, right? And so the up and down, so I remember when we got the news, we were going to look at the heart, which was shocking. It was shocking for me. And then you were scheduled for a Friday visit where we thought they were going to talk to you about stints.
Yes.
For the next shock, right?
That was our movie. We're like, oh yeah, let's create our own script here. But it wasn't that.
Yeah. So you're all set up, right? You're all set up. And we were at the conference. Remember, you had to leave a day early.
Yes.
And we all were kind of feeling good. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. We were feeling good. And I was like, okay, at the worst it's going to be is I'll go in there and get this angiogram test done. And while they're in there, if there's any blockages, they'll put the stent and we'll be cruising again. And I even thought, they said, we'll probably be in there for an hour. And if we have to put the stent, it'll be 2 hours if we find anything. So my mind was all prepared for that. And so when I came into the recovery room after the angiogram was done, I saw I had only been there in half an hour. And so I was like, oh, yes. I was like, they didn't find nothing. I got out early. So we're going to be cruising. We'll be in New York next week. But when they came and, they said, well, you didn't need any stents. And I was like, oh, wonderful. Yay. I was so happy. And they're like, but you do need a bypass. And so the doctor will be in here to talk to you about that. And I was like, okay. But in my mind, I registered that as the balloon angioplasty. I put bypass together with the word balloon probably because I was half sedated, and so I was like, okay, well, then we'll just put the balloon. So then she goes, well, here, you can read up about it until the doctor gets here. And she hands me the pamphlet, and I open it, and they're sawing the chest apart at the sternum and opening the heart. I was like, wait a minute, you gave me the wrong thing. I go, is this for the balloon therapy? She's like, no, honey, it's for a bypass. I'm like, like open heart surgery? Like, yes. Oh, my God. So I was in shock. Yeah. And when they went to get Maestro, he noticed too. He goes, oh, I was going to get on a call right now, but I didn't have time to make the call. So is she okay? Oh, yeah. Did she get the stents? No, she didn't need any stents. Oh, that's wonderful. So he walked into the room thinking we're going to be fine too. And then the doctor came. So, yeah, we're going to have to do a triple bypass. What? And we were both in shock and just, Creator, why? Mm-hmm. Why? Yeah.
Well, and I think this is so important. I mean, I remember I was still at the conference and getting the text, and it was right before lunch, and expecting as well to think, okay, she's done, and then getting the text and reading, no, she has to have a triple bypass. And it just hitting me also like a ton of bricks on your chest going. And I remember turning to Val and going, I need to go out. And I went back to the green room at the conference to just kind of assimilate the news and then to call Maestro because it was a shock.
Yes.
And I think these things are important for us to talk about because sometimes we have these ideas that just because we're doing things or maybe we're in leadership, all of a sudden we don't go through these emotional roller coasters or we don't go through feeling kind of, oh my God, I'm on my own on this, or where is there? Like we experience, nobody is exempt.
Right. Absolutely. And it's interesting, too, because, we always try to, in our healing, to address the whole body, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. But there's also the different quadrants, from the youth to, our teenage years to our motherhood years, our career woman working years to the elderhood, And the way I handled this now is totally different than if this would happen to me as a teenager, in a different quadrant. So, the healing never ends. Like the lessons never end. The healings never end. Every quadrant is different, how you handle things and how you respond. And I would say, especially in this situation, it was also my spirituality was really being challenged. Like, God, where are you in this? The pain was devastating, and it's still up and down with that, but it really makes you, you always say, Maestra, do you believe or you don't believe? And I've always believed, but this was even taking me deeper. How much? Okay, now, your life is on the line here. Do you trust me? Do you believe that we're here? And then they were so gracious because I was worried about the surgery. I was very anxious as it got closer and closer, just waiting to see when that date was going to be. And I got a call. They were thinking to have it in the second week of December. And I got a call in November. And they said, the doctor wanted me to call you to tell you just had a cancellation. And he wants to offer you a date. If you want it, it's yours. And I was like, what's the date? They go, Friday, November 17th. Yeah. I'm like, yes. And then I was so excited. I was like, oh, wait, I need to ask my husband first. And he said, my partner here, he could take me on that day. And I ran in there, and as Maestro was on a Zoom, and I'm like, November 17th, and yes or no? And he's like, yes. Okay, I go, yes, I want it. And right then there was just so much joy. I said, surrender and joy, And the reason it was so joyful to me, because it was such a strong confirmation, because that was my Maestro Florencio Yesca's birthday. Yeah. He was born on that day, and I felt right then, I was like, oh, okay, they got it. They're already on it. It was like that. Of all the dates of the year, it was on that beautiful date of Maestro Florencio Yesca's birthday. And then I hung up, and I was just jumping for joy. And then I went to the kitchen to get something to drink, and I opened the refrigerator. And my daughter had come home the night before, and she had bought a coffee, and she didn't finish it, and the cup was left in the refrigerator. And it didn't say Starbucks. All it said on it was Louis. And I was like, I've never heard of a coffee shop named Louis. Like, what? And that's my daddy's name. And I was like, Daddy! It was almost like he's saying, hey, baby, I'm here. I'm here. And then the nurse called me back in an hour, and she said, the doctor wants you to go see the naturopathic doctor to get your diet of how you're going to eat when you come out and have that appointment. And I said, okay, well, where is she located? And she gave me the address, and I looked it up, and the street she was located on was Carob and Opal Street. And Opal, as many of our mujeres know, is the earth angel, our family member that introduced me to Maestro Florencio. And I was like, there it is, 3 confirmations. All the streets in the world, that street was Opal. And then Florencio's birthday, and then my daddy, and then the butterflies were flying around outside in the yard, and that's my mama. And I was just like, oh, you're so great. The universe is so gracious to give me those confirmations that I'm going to be okay. Yeah.
And the beauty of it, right? Because they know the things that we need.
Oh, yes.
And so, it's kind of always customized.
Beyond your imagination.
Beyond your imagination.
Yeah.
And I know for me, when I heard the date when you called and you go, comadre, it's going to be that day. And I was like, oh my God, that's the day after my dad's birthday. It was on the 16th.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was not his birthday, his passing. And so I was like, okay, that was confirmation for me.
You, huh?
That.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so it's, that's the beauty, right? That even in a sense of tragedy, and even in a sense of, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? Mm-hmm. There's these breaths, this
grace.
Yeah, of grace and assurance and reminding that I know you think you're alone, but you're not alone.
Never. Never. I've been very blessed throughout my life to have those blessings and those messages sent to me from a very young age. When I didn't have anyone to turn to, it was, always looking up, asking Creator, ancestors to help me, guide me. Madrecita, La Virgencita, which way do I go, which direction? And they never failed to give me those confirmations in that direction and making their presence be known. Always, always. But it took me a while to understand, to allow myself to pay attention And the more I paid attention, the more signs I would see every single day all over. Like there was cars driving by with license plates of my brother's names on it. After I left the cardiology department, planning for this, the freeway, I was going under the freeway and it said Susie and I had a big heart. It's spray painted on the freeway. I was like, who would think to do that? So just the signs were everywhere. And it just reminded me, like, I need to, we get so busy and so wrapped up in our everyday life, we forget it's a whole different language out there. We forget to take time to look and notice and pay attention because our ancestors, our relatives are always speaking to us. But if we never take the time to notice, we'll miss it. We'll miss the magical messages that they have for us.
I know we've always, spoken very candid and sometimes raw on our program,
Oh, yeah, truth.
And truth.
Yes,
truth.
Absolutely.
And I also know that part of this journey for you was a reminder that even though there's been disappointments in the past, that doesn't define our future. And I want you to talk a little bit of a time in your life where you went through something, and not as drastic as this, but you're actually alone in that process of being in bed and really not feeling the support. And now going through this, which is a totally different experience, and the reminder of that. Because even though sometimes we pass through things and we might have an experience that doesn't leave a good taste in our mouth, doesn't mean that it'll always be that way as well. Can you share a little bit about that?
I think what comes to me is when I first got injured with my back, In the past, I've danced through pain and hurt knees and blistered feet and headaches and everything. But the show must go on. And I would my body was so gracious to just keep chugging along. Like, okay, we're here for you. It never failed me. But when I did get that serious in 2016, when I did hurt my back and I was debilitated and I couldn't get up, I was thinking, okay, well, give myself a couple of weeks and then I'll bounce back. Well, it didn't happen. It just kept escalating and getting worse and getting worse. And I couldn't do anything. I remember my daughters were wheeling me in the little office chair to the toilet and back because I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom. And they were just trying to support me through all of that. And I was just laying there every day. And I was like, what's next? Like, I think the fear comes when these situations happen to us. The biggest fear is like, is this going to end? Like, is this going to get better or is this the beginning of the end? And that creates a lot of fear. But it gave me a lot of time to really stop and pose that question that we teach in our first lessons in our trainings is, who are you? Who are you now that you can't get up? You can't even be the mom that you're usually, the companion that you're usually, doing your daily tasks, things that we take for granted. Sometimes we complain, oh, this house, I got to clean. But this time I wanted to clean and I couldn't get up and clean and do for myself, And I just, Creator took me very deep. Like, okay, you're not a dansante. You can't even dance. You're not a massage therapist. You can't even get up and give a massage. You can't even massage yourself. You're not facilitator. You're not doing any healing work. Who are you? And it really makes you realize you're not your body. You're not what you do. You're not your role. You're a spirit. Creator created us, and we're good just the way we are. It's not going to take Creator's love away, make it any less. In fact, it made it even more. And it really makes you think of what's really important. All these things that we think are important, and got to have this, and got to do that, and got to be this, and be there for everybody, and all the drama, all the things that go on in daily life, all those distractions, if you will, those daily distractions that just distract us and make us forget who we really are and why we do what we do and what our purpose is and what's really important. It just gave me a lot of time to reflect on that. And I think the thing that stands out to me the most is, and we all know it, and we all know how to prevent it, but sometimes it takes these crises to actually do it. And that's health. Health is priceless. Because without that, you can't do anything else. You can have all the knowledge you want in your mind. You could have, know all the right things to do. But if you can't even get out of bed and show up and pass that knowledge on or be that support for others, what do you have? So it's really emphasizing this experience even more. It's nothing new that I don't know. I know what I'm supposed to eat and not eat. I know I'm supposed to exercise every day. I know I should make sure that I'm doing some good deep breathing, and that I should be taking time to be still. That's all the stuff that we teach, all that self-care, and time for reflection, and time to connect with Creator and ancestors, and give our minds time for clarity. And that's not going to happen if we don't make that a priority, and if we don't make that a daily intention. You got your health, you got your faith, you got your family, and your support, and you can do anything. Those are what comes to the forefront as what's really important.
So we get to the day of the operation.
Oh.
And I remember we got up very early.
I'm sure you remember more than me.
Yes. So I remember, so we came, and let me just say, it was an honor, I know, certainly for myself and Val to be there. Mm-hmm. Because when any of this stuff, it's intimate, and we're very vulnerable, and when those situations happen. So we get to the hospital, and this is early in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, and you've been preparing to get to this place, but this now becomes the day of the operation. And we're in the room, and we're waiting for the doctors, right? What's going on for you at that time?
At first, it was like, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. I wanted to be very present because I don't know, is this the last time I'm going to look into Maestra's eyes and my daughter's eyes again? Is this the last time I'm going to see you, Maestra, Val? What are the thoughts and feelings I want to take with me? Is there somebody that I need to forgive, even if it's in my heart? I was seeing it not as a heart surgery. I was seeing it more that I felt it was a heart ceremony. And I don't feel like it was just a clearing of veins and plaque and cholesterol. I feel it was generations of clearing. Carry a lot of my mother's pain, my grandmother's pain. You know how generational trauma transferred. I had experienced a lot of pain in my life, and I really feel in my soul it was more of a emotional heart cleansing ceremony to let go of what no longer serves me and forgive and learn the lesson and move on and not carry those cargas with me into this last quadrant of my life. What do I want to take with me? What do I want to leave behind? I had been that whole 2 weeks before, just like, okay, who do you need to forgive? I need to forgive. What are you letting go of? What are we going to let go of when we go through this, so that you can make more room for the joy, for that healing energy, for Creator's energy to channel and come through without all those blockages. And so I was thinking all that, and it was almost like a dream too. I was like, is this really it, or this not it, or? And they were so clever the way they did it, because we're there talking, and then they're saying, okay, it's time. We're gonna take you in, and they go, so we're gonna take you in, and we're gonna set you up, and make sure you have your IV and everything, and then when we get you all set up and transferred, then we're gonna come to you, and then we're gonna count to 10 backwards, and then you'll fall asleep, and then wake up and it'll be over. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm looking in the room. It was like the Starship Enterprise in there. All these lights and tools and just like 20 people in there, just all having their own role. And they have it down to a science. It's amazing. It's amazing how they work together. It felt good to me to know that they work as a team all the time. It wasn't like who's ever on the schedule. They've been doing this together as a team for a long time. So I felt very confident with that. So I'm thinking I have all this time while I'm looking around the room. And all of a sudden I'm looking around all the room. And then the next thing I know, I'm in the recovery room. They never did the countdown. And I was like, that's probably kind of good they did that, because I would have been nervous. Like, okay, this is it. 10, blast off, So I was like, that was really smart, the way they did that. But I felt good. My heart felt clear. I felt supported. I knew that so many people were praying for me at that time. I received so many texts, and we're all here. We're all praying for you. We got you. So I was confident I was in good hands, and that it was going to come out successful. Mm-hmm.
But even in that, it doesn't exempt us from the anxiety, or like you said, is this the last time I'm going to see her? We're still human. And as much support as we have sometimes, where it doesn't take away that human aspect of, okay, I don't feel nothing, I'm good to go, just 100% here.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're never prepared enough. I'm never prepared enough.
Yeah.
No, because it's too unpredictable. And that's another thing that blows my mind, is that I didn't realize, I didn't research anything before because I didn't want to know. But then I'm finding out after, they're going to take your heart out and they're going to stop it so that they can work on it and, get these veins out of your legs, and they do all this stuff. But they'll keep your body going, and then they'll do what they need to do and then put it back in. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean they're going to stop my heart? Like, what if it doesn't restart? Like what the heck? So I'm like, that's amazing that they could even do that. It's just like, thank Creator and ancestors, there's people that want to do that every day, but it really was that lesson, because you're always talking about breath, and we're always teaching that. You're always leading all of our meditations and everything with breath and giving thanks for breath. And I was like, this is literal now, this understanding about breath. When the baby comes out of the womb, that we're waiting for it to take the first breath. Like, here you're stopping my heart completely, and I'm still alive because of breath. So you can stop my heart, but you can't stop my breath. Once you stop the breath, it's over. So just that realization of how important our breath is, and how we take that for granted, each breath, it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Yes, I remember we waited for you to come out, and then walking into the recovery room and seeing you for the first time on the bed with those pipes or tubes, and, and then seeing you in pain, because this is the transition before they can administer the pain medication again, and seeing you in a state of pain. And our normal reaction is, mine was, get her out of the pain. Give her whatever she can, get her out of the pain. But still having to, because now you go into the next chapter, which is recovery. And so recuperation of this event. And so you're in this recovery process now of coming back after this traumatic event, right? And so how has that recovery part been for you? Because sometimes we have things that, okay, I did it, so now I can skip to my loo. It's all great now.
It's not all great. That's why I say I'm still composting all this experience. I'm not to the other side. I'm still learning lessons from it. They're continuing to be taught to me. I'm realizing what we know intellectually, but I'm learning firsthand. You can't rush healing. You can't. you could want to all you want, but the body, it's like trying to force a plant to grow. It's going to grow in its own time. It's going to blossom when it's ready. I want to be ready. I want to work. I want to get out there and start doing. And my body's like, no, I'm not done yet. And I went to a visit not too long ago, and they go, what are you here for? I go, echocardiogram. For what? I just had a triple bypass. They're like, oh. I go, I'm so tired. And they're like, well, yeah, it's only been 6 weeks. They go, it'll be a year before you feel back to yourself. You know, and I was like, what? I'm in 6 weeks and you're telling me a year? But I needed to hear that, because I'm thinking, okay, just because the surgery's done, I can jump up and start doing everything I was doing before at the same pace. And it's not a reality. I mean, I could force myself to do that, but I think that's part of the lesson. I've been forcing myself to do things in spite of the pain. And that hasn't been the healthiest thing to do. It's just created more damage. So now, back to surrender. You need to surrender to your body. You know, it's done so much for me. You know, I've traveled the world dancing for so many years, and the work that I do and everything that I do is I have to have my body, you know, massaging, you know, facilitating, anything that I do. So I'm realizing, like, have compassion. You know, your body's worked hard in spite of everything for you. You know, God brought you so much joy. The things that you love to do, your body's allowed you to do that. The things you've created, your body has allowed you to do that. So give it a turn. Give it a turn. Give back. It's time to give back and allow myself to receive, which is hard. As mujeres, the giving is easy.
Yes.
Receiving, no, it's so difficult. It shouldn't be, but that's a lesson too. Like reciprocity, you know, and being okay with that and not feeling like I'm being a burden. You know, I worry about that. And I don't want to make more work for Maestro, and I don't want to put this on my friends. You know, I can handle it. You know, but that's part of the lesson too. And people want to support, and people want to contribute. You know, so I think that's a big lesson to us too as mujeres. Like, we're taking away someone else's joy. They want to do this for me. You know, I don't take that opportunity away from them. Not just in this situation, in everything. Like, people really want to help, and people want to give in it. And just like it gives me so much joy to do it for others, I don't want to steal that opportunity from them to do that. I think that's a big lesson. How do we learn as mujeres to receive, knowing that we're bringing joy to someone else and giving them purpose? And we don't want to take that opportunity away.
Yes. So many lessons, right?
Oh,
I mean, because even the part, and I know we wrestle with trusting the process, but really trusting the process is where the faith comes into action.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I think there's no other way to learn it. And that's one of the gifts of these experiences, because you're in such total surrender. You have no choice in the matter whatsoever. Your life is in whatever's happening. You don't have any control of anything. And that makes a lot of us uncomfortable. We can't control anything. But if I could think about every situation that I've been in where I have no control, this is what it is. You know, like, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to hang on, pray harder, and believe or not believe. There are several times, and Maestro can attest to it, you know, where my faith was like, where are you? Like, I'm dying here. Like, pain is so excruciating. Like you need to take it from me. Like, I can't take it anymore. It's too much. Like, and I just felt so alone. And it's like, normally they'll give me a sign or they'll do something. It was like Creator just stuffed cotton in his ears and let me sob and cry and just let me go through it. And it's like, I almost feel like it was like, I need to teach you total surrender. I need to build your faith spiritually and this is the only way you're going to learn it. That's me personally, how I felt. Now that moment is over, but during the moment I was like, where are you guys? You know what? I can't bear another minute of it, you know. And then 10 minutes later, I get a call from one of my therapists that was helping me for the recovery. And it was late on a Saturday night. And she shouldn't even be working. And I was just trying to get through the time, and I get a call from her. She's like, "How you doing?" And I'm dying. I'll be right there. I was like, "Oh, Creator." The Creator's like, "Look at you, 10 minutes. You couldn't last 10 minutes, you're already doubting me." You know, but, you know, there's a saying that Rumi writes, and at the end of it, it's like, you can deny me if you want, but in the end, through my process with you, and you reach your perfection, you will never be done praising my name. Yeah. Amen.
Well, faith, right? So we say
Faith.
Faith is still believing when there's no evidence, right?
Oh,
Can't see anything, but do we believe then? You know, that's the
and even
part.
for Maestro, because he's watching and witnessing it, and he's like, "What? You know, the ultimate fixer, the all-know solutions," and that's been that pillar of strength for me for so many years, and to be witnessing that and being totally helpless and having to surrender to your partner in so much pain and you can't do anything is just as excruciating.
It is just as excruciating.
If not more.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult. It really is difficult to see someone you love in so much pain and be helpless.
Yes.
You know, I understand that personally as well. I know our time is coming short here, but there's two more things I want to touch before we end. And one is, we have definitely heard, right? Because these are lessons that until you go into the abyss, will you learn. Right? You don't get this when you're not in these positions.
Absolutely.
You know, so can you share a little bit about your thoughts around that?
About coming back out of there or going down in it?
Well, either going down and coming out, right? Because it's only in those circumstances do we get those lessons.
Right.
Because I'm just wondering, is it about total surrender? Is it about really those lessons about faith? Because the abyss, you know, you're down there, there's nothing else there.
It is about that for me. Because I've been down in there more than once and drowning, and just have to keep looking up. You know, I could just see myself at the bottom of the ocean and looking at the light at the top and just sinking, and just saying, I have to get back up there. You know, like, you got to get up. You got to get back to the top. You're going to drown if you leave yourself here. And just almost looking up and reaching for Creator's hand to pull me back up, because there's nobody else that could help you. There's things that are too big in this world that are beyond us to ever find the solution, and it's in those times that you have to surrender because it's too big for you. Nobody has the answer. Only Creator has the answer. So to me, I've learned when I have gotten in those deep, sinking quicksand places, that's where I have to look, because that's what has pulled me out of it in the past. And also not being afraid to reach out and ask for help. I don't have to do it by myself. There's a lot of resources around. Of course, we get shame and embarrassed. And like, I don't want to reach out to people and, how are you doing, Maestra? Oh, I'm dying. Like, why do I want to call somebody and make them feel bad? You know, it's about enough seeing Maestro feeling bad. He can't help me. And like, I want to talk to somebody and have good news, not tell them I'm drowning here. I'm going to die. Like, I don't want to take away someone else's joy, you know. So, but the experience has proven to me you have to. You can't just stay in that one-track mind of pain and suffering, because it will overtake you. But can you humble yourself enough to do it? Can you trust your circle of support that you say is there for you to be vulnerable and say, I'm not good. That's been hard. I'm just barely getting there. Where I can be able to share my pain without making somebody else uncomfortable. That's the thing. I think for a lot of us, we don't share what's really going on with us, and we stay on the surface level because we don't think somebody else can handle. They want to help too, and they don't know what to do, and then they feel bad because they can't support. And so for that reason, that's been my pattern in the past, like just keep it to myself, just hold it in. But what does it do? It blocks your arteries. It has to go somewhere, and I feel like all the years that I've done that, it's contributed to these blocked arteries energetically and emotionally by hanging on and not talking about it or not allowing myself to be vulnerable to say, I'm not well, I'm not good right now, and be okay, and trust that it'll be okay. Bringing light to that shadow.
And allowing, right? Like you shared earlier, allowing and not robbing someone else the opportunity to contribute in that time. There's one last question I want to ask, because we've been talking a lot about going to a place but coming out, right? So physically struggling in our bodies, but still being able to get to a place that the body's back functioning. But there's many people that are in a position that the body is not going to recuperate, that the body is going to stay in the condition or whatever that challenge might be, whether I can't walk again or whether I'm on a wheelchair or I need a walker, or maybe, my breath is, I have a artificial breathing machine or to help me. And I want to ask you for those situations, because you have been in them temporarily. What has sustained you there? And what words could you offer for those that is their state, that they're going to stay in the bed or they will stay on the wheelchair? What words can you offer there?
Two things that come to my mind. I haven't thought about it, deep. I'm sure if I thought about that question more, I would come up with more perspectives on it. But right now, the two things that are coming to my mind, you're not your body. We're first a spirit coming into a body, but we're not our body. We're so much more. And as you know, spirit could be anywhere. Spirit can go anywhere. Spirit could be in 3 places at one time. Like, why are we limiting ourselves to just our body? That's for one, I've had to tell myself that when I get into pain, because pain will hijack, man. It'll just get you in a pity party very deep, very quickly if you allow the mind to take you there. But as you've shared before, there's people in prison that feel more free than they're out because they're not just thinking of where they're at. And their mind and their spirit is flying, out. That comes to my mind, and then just what is always carrying me is what Maestra has always shared with me from the beginning. As long as you can walk, you can dance, and I haven't been able to walk, so I'm like, well, I still want to dance. I can't even barely walk now. What do you mean? Why are you telling me that? Now what do I? Because he didn't mean just physically. That your spirit dances. Your spirit has its own choreography. But if you stay locked in the body, it can't even come out to dance because it's being incarcerated by the body. So if I can just sit, and visualize the days when I was dancing, I could be there. I could be there anytime I want. Running up and down the beach with my daddy. I could be there. I could be cooking with my mama. I could be anywhere. It's my choice to choose where I want to be. If I want to just be in the pain, I can. If I choose to just concentrate there. Or can I what I've had to do is just say, okay, I'm going to give you a half an hour to be here in this pity and feel. I'm not saying to don't acknowledge what I'm feeling. Allow myself to feel what's happening. Allow myself to talk to my body and It's okay. I got you. You know, that we're going to get through this. We've always gone through it. We're going to get through it again. And then choose my thoughts after that. Where do I want to go from here? What do I want to concentrate my energy on? What brings me joy? And focus on those thoughts. Music has been very helpful. There's so many memories in music, you know. Go back to those oldies like that. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember where I was doing at that time when that song came out. Music has been very, very healing for me to keep myself surrounded with that, because songs carry so much memory, and there's so many good memories to so many songs. But you have to choose which ones you want to.
Yeah, right.
Which memories you want to wake up.
Yeah. Well, I know there's that statement that we say, right? That freedom is a state of mind.
Yes.
You know, and I think that that's what you're really saying, and what allows that spirit to be free, right? Is that connection to that great mystery that's greater than us. That gives us life and that gives us breath. Right.
And it's been a daily thing. Like, okay, you're not where you want to be, and you're not 100%, but what are you grateful for? Back to the great gratitude. You know, what are you grateful for that is happening? I'm grateful that I can, you know, be allowed to rest and heal and have a supportive partner helping me, my daughters and all my circle of support. I'm grateful that I have a home. It has to get very basic. I'm grateful I woke up this morning. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity that my mother and my brothers didn't have. They died of congestive heart failure. I'm grateful that I was given the opportunity to break that cycle, if you will, energetically, generationally. They didn't have that opportunity. I always say a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I just want to encourage you listeners. You've heard this conversation, and maybe you're going through something, you know, but we want to bring hope to you, to understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that there is something greater than us that's invested because of love for us in you. And also, you might be that person that's confined to a bed or to a chair, but don't allow your spirit to be confined to the bed or to the chair. Allow your spirit to be free and to be great and to do those things. It doesn't stop us, because creativity really is a spiritual activity, being creative. And so I'm hoping, and I know that as you listen to this conversation and the words of Maestra, that they've been healing words. And I hope that they've been encouraging and inspiring as you might be confronting things. And if you aren't, then I hope it gives you an idea and preparation that to know that if you ever confront something, there is joy, you know, in that surrender. And that isn't the end of the story.
No.
Right? No, it isn't the end of the story. Comadre, I just want to thank you. And it's been a pleasure to be with you physically, to have this conversation, and to see that in spite of this journey, I do see joy in your eyes. And we're still laughing, you know. And even though we're not running, we're walking a little slower in this time in our life.
Yes.
The spirit is still free and just so encouraging. So I just want to thank you for being transparent about this event that happened in your life. And I know that whoever listens will be encouraged by your words. And I just want to say, what are the last words you want to offer to our listeners?
No, just what I said, you know, the gratitude always is powerful medicine. My heart is filled with gratitude to everyone out there who has prayed for me, all their ofrendas. I want to thank, you know, my partner, my children, my friends, my comadres, my compadres, all of my family, my aunts, my uncles, all those that came forward to support me and have always supported me, but continue to support me And I just look forward to the journey ahead, however that's going to be. I'm still surrendering. I'm not going to make an agenda. I'm going to just, follow Creator, knowing that we will be guided where we need to be when the time comes. So thank you. Thank you. So grateful to be alive.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for joining us today. We're so grateful that you chose to be in this discussion with us. And we just want to encourage you to reach out. You can find us on the National Compadres Network. Go to Women's Services and you will find us, or Healing Generations podcast. You will find these podcasts and many more. But we just want to encourage you to stay in contact, stay in touch with us. And if I can leave with the Maestra's words, let's not rob others. Let's ask for help and give them an opportunity to be of service to us. So with that, bendiciones until next time.
Bendiciones.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.